scary story in the house, known to one.
The story revolves around my temporary stay at my brother's house. It all began when my brother and his wife had to leave town shortly after purchasing their new house. However, they were concerned about their cats being taken care of. Luckily, their house was located just a short distance from my apartment and my office. Sensing the inconvenience of traveling back and forth, my brother suggested that I live at their house during their absence, making it easier for me to look after the cats while also tending to my work. Consequently, I was entrusted with the house keys and given detailed instructions. I settled into their house for 3 consecutive nights, specifically on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. The first evening, Monday, was uneventful until the stroke of midnight. I reclined on the living room couch with Conan the cat nestled upon my chest, watching television. Gradually, fatigue overwhelmed me, and I began to doze off. To my astonishment, when I regained consciousness, I found myself engulfed in utter darkness. Panic surged through me as I realized I had no recollection of my current location. Desperately, I felt around in the darkness, but there was nothing to guide me. Eventually, I noticed a faint blue glow emanating from above. Guided by its feeble light, I slowly made my way towards it, finally comprehending the scenario. I found myself in the eerie confines of the basement. Dim moonlight poured through a window in the kitchen, casting an ethereal glow in the room. Running up the stairs, I hastily switched on the kitchen light and securely closed the basement door, relieving some of the fear that had gripped me. Gradually, my fright subsided, allowing me to reach a logical conclusion, an unsettling realization that you have likely deduced as well. I had unknowingly descended the basement stairs in my sleep, and even managed to open the locked door. Intriguingly, a few more details contribute to the overall narrative. First and foremost, the basement itself played a significant role in the story. Despite the house being magnificent, more extravagant than they could afford, the basement remained neglected. I had only glimpsed it once during the house tour, and it was evident that the basement needed repairs, which was their primary intention. It contained merely a few boxes and a washer and dryer, making it uninviting and uninteresting. Consequently, I never felt the need or desire to venture down there, eventually forgetting about its existence altogether. Furthermore, sleepwalking appeared to be a prevalent trait within my family. My brother, in particular, regularly engaged in sleep-talking and occasionally even sleepwalking. Unquestionably, this always terrified me to my core. The notion of individuals unknowingly executing actions during their sleep continues to be a source of great unease for me. My brother was well aware of my phobia and often playfully teased me about it. Therefore, it was common knowledge within my family that I harbored such fears. Nevertheless, prior to that fateful night, I had never under any circumstance experienced or exhibited any signs of sleepwalking. The image of me slumbering, rising from the sofa, proceeding to the kitchen, unlatching the basement door, and tiptoeing underground in complete darkness replayed incessantly in my mind. It's genuinely eerie. Anyhow, I observed that the television in the living room was still illuminated, featuring the scary movie on the screen. I settled in to watch the remainder of the film, attempting to chuckle and perceive sleepwalking as a comical anecdote to share with my brother. Subsequently, I ascended the stairs to the guest room and drifted into a peaceful slumber. This marked the onset of the initial night. The following morning, in the broad daylight, the situation didn't seem as dreadful. I corresponded with my brother about it and made light-hearted jests. It didn't trouble me throughout the day. Nevertheless, as I stepped out of the office en route to my car, an overwhelming sensation of fear enveloped me. Abruptly, the mere thought of retiring to bed in that house and potentially sleepwalking once more petrified me. Hence, I devised a plan. I took a detour and visited a hardware store, procuring one of those rubber door wedges. Upon arrival at my brother's residence, I wedged it into the crevice beneath the basement door and nudged it until it nestled as far in as possible. Then I endeavored to turn the doorknob, but it remained steadfast. Splendid. As nightfall descended, I journeyed upstairs and succumbed to slumber. And when I roused from my sleep, I swear upon my life, it felt as though I was still in the realm of dreams. I stood once again amidst the darkness, yet this time I was fully aware of my surroundings. The scent lingered, unchanged. The solid concrete flooring supported my weight. I surveyed my surroundings, seeking the source of the overhead light, but initially struggled to locate it as it appeared more distant. The previous night, I had been in close proximity to the staircase. On this occasion, the stairs were approximately 5 meters away. Swiftly, I ascended the steps and flicked on the kitchen light. Lo and behold, a rubber wedge lay on the ground, a mere meter from my position, as if someone had flung it there. Once more, I endeavored to envision myself as a sleepwalker, traversing from the bedroom, descending the stairs, and wrestling with the basement door. Stooping down, I retrieved the wedge, and then proceeded to descend cautiously into the darkness once again. A notion struck me to illuminate the basement by activating the light switch. I swung open the door and fumbled for the switch positioned on the stairwell leading down to the basement. However, I noticed that the main switch resided at the foot of the steps. In order to provide you with a clearer picture of the layout, the staircase divides the basement into 2 sections. To the right, there lies a compact area housing a washing machine and dryer, while to the left, a vast open space unfolds. Therefore, I descended the stairs and illuminated the entire basement. It was during this endeavor that I made a discovery previously overlooked during my initial exploration. Approximately 5 meters away, perched on a sizable platform, stood a door leading to a minuscule closet. There, in front of me, was a closed door, devoid of a doorknob, just an empty hole. It appeared as though the door was ready to swing open effortlessly. As I abruptly regained my senses, I realized I had woken up near this peculiar door. A bizarre thought crossed my mind. Every night I found myself drawn towards this door, venturing a little further before awakening. Upon this realization, I hastily retraced my steps back up the stairs, leaving the light on and firmly shutting the door. Longing to sleep, I ascended to the bedroom, but slumber evaded me. This marked the second night of the inexplicable series. The following morning, a tardy awakening on Wednesday hindered my focus on work. I hurriedly prepared for the day, paying no heed to the basement. However, the curious nature of what lay behind that door lingered within me even at the workplace. Consequently, I reached out to my brother seeking answers. His response was laced with confusion, questioning why I found myself in the basement. It dawned on me that in my previous message, I had failed to mention the exact location of my awakening. After a moment of contemplation, I decided to disclose the truth. Astonishingly, he divulged that he had also experienced 2 consecutive mornings waking up in the basement. In due time, he sent a lengthy message detailing the uncanny and eerie atmosphere of the basement, advising me to steer clear of it. He accounts how the mere presence of litter boxes caused the cats to wreak havoc in the house as they adamantly refused to venture downstairs. He confided that he willingly took any chore except laundry just to avoid descending into the basement. As I absorbed the unsettling contents of his message, the disbelief overwhelmed me. My brother had never been one to believe in the supernatural or superstitions, even throughout our childhood. It became apparent that he had never answered my initial inquiry, but that time did not permit me to dwell further. After wrapping up at work, an overwhelming sense of dread forced its way into my being as I journeyed towards the car. I dreaded the prospect of returning to that place once again. I decided I had had enough. I resolved to stop by, feed the cats, collect my belongings, and promptly head back home. In the morning, a brief visit to feed the cats would suffice before bidding farewell. As I settled into bed in my apartment, my mind began to ponder the necessary steps I would have to undertake in order to reach the basement within my dream, locating the parked car a block away, driving to my brother's house in the dream realm, and so forth. Yet this time, I surrendered to a night of uninterrupted slumber. It marked the beginning of the 3rd night. Thursday morning arrived as planned, and I made my customary stop at the house. Just as I was about to depart, a lingering thought prompted me to remember that the basement light remained switched on. Without hesitation, I ventured downstairs to turn it off. There was something enchanting about being in the basement during the morning hours. This particular morning, the basement seemed almost inviting. As I descended the stairs, my gaze was captured by the enigmatic door once again. Its menacing aura had dissipated, leaving behind an inexplicable allure. Perhaps it was time to explore its secrets. I approached the closet with a sense of fearlessness, unfazed by what may lie behind its doors. That is, until I extended my hand towards the hole in the doorknob, craving to unlock its secrets. In that instant, a rush of electric sensation coursed through my veins, akin to the charged atmosphere before a storm. I couldn't help but imagine a phantom hand emerging from that hole, ready to snatch mine. It was like going from absolute fearlessness to an overwhelming certainty that dreadful consequences awaited me if I dared to open that door. The indescribable electric feeling became my reality. Gathering the rest of my belongings, I ascended the stairs and bid farewell to the eerie house. A month passed, and I met my brother for a jovial gathering. As the drinks flowed, our conversation led us to jest about my sleepwalking encounters and the haunting basement. Reminding him of the unanswered inquiry about the door, he nonchalantly claimed that I wouldn't want to know. Initially, it seemed like he was merely teasing me, yet his insistence grew palpable. Finally, he divulged the truth, and I found it difficult to believe him. After all, this was the older brother who had deceived me countless times throughout my life. His words unveiled a haunting tale. The house's previous owners, the first family, had a teenage daughter who had transformed the basement into her personal sanctuary. Tragically, one fateful night, she sought solace within her closet, ingesting a fatal dose of pills and ending her life. The family's subsequent attempts to renovate the basement were thwarted, leading them to abandon the idea altogether and subsequently move away. Thus, the basement remained in its unfinished state, while my brother unexpectedly found himself able to afford this spacious house. The reason behind his fortunate purchase became evident. The seller was obligated to disclose the history of the house, including the suicide. Hiding this dark past, the family's abode was significantly undervalued compared to similar properties. Seizing the opportunity, my brother and his wife, considering themselves morally acceptable, secured a remarkably advantageous deal while opting to keep the haunting truth concealed. Upon settling into their new home, my brother's wife developed an affection for the basement while he grew to detest it. Apologetic for his silence regarding its sinister history during my stay, he hadn't anticipated that I would venture down into the basement. However, what truly convinced me of his veracity was the peculiar incident on my last morning there. As I approached the closet door, I noticed an undeniable change in my brother's countenance. Simultaneously, I uttered electricity, interrupted by my brother echoing the exact word. Witnessing his transformed expression, I comprehended his honesty. Vowing to never set foot in that dreaded basement again, I also found solace in the fact that my sleepwalking episodes ceased to occur.